You are enjoying your leading edge perspective. You're adoring your fresh, newly hatched desire. And it matters not at all if it ever manifests. We keep trying. We're not trying to talk you out of manifestation, but we think it would go ever so much better for you if the not yet manifestation felt like eagerness, felt like something coming, rather than feeling like the absence of something needed in order to feel better. The key to steady, even quick, realization of desires and dreams and hopes and wants is understanding that it is coming and a sort of optimistic anticipation of the evidence of the unfolding. And sometimes when you are focused so severely on the absence of something that you want, it's hard for you to find that optimism. But in every moment that you are focused upon the absence of something wanted, you hold yourself in vibrational alignment with that absence. That's why it gets feeling worse and worse. That's why something that you've wanted for quite a while that has not seemed to manifest, and you are not seeing what you would call enough evidence of its potential unfolding. As you let your awareness be about what is instead of about what is becoming, then what becomes is more about what is. And we think that's the reason that sometimes you feel not very optimistic. You've developed some patterns of giving so much attention to what is that what is keeps becoming. So you say, my future events are dragging their feet. They're slow to come. And we say, they're not slow to come. What is fast to come is whatever you're giving your attention to. So what keeps becoming is what you've got vibrationally active. And what you have vibrationally active is what you're giving your attention to. So if you're giving your attention to what is, then what is continues to become. And you say, what is isn't changing. And we say, it's continuing to become. And you say, but it isn't changing. And we say, but it's continuing to become what you are giving your attention to. That's good, isn't it? When you think about it, whatever you are giving your attention to is becoming. So when you say, things are not changing for me, we say, don't say that. Instead say, things are continuing to change into exactly the same thing that they've been. I'm making tremendous progress as I keep recreating the same thing over and over and over. Because what is what has most of my attention, and since what is has most of my attention, then what is keeps becoming again and again and again and again. So then you, when you're not understanding the law of attraction and vibrational activation and your point of attraction and universal response to your point of attraction, you say something that is totally untrue. You say, my life is not changing. And we say, yes, it is. It's just changing into the same thing over and over and over again. So if you're wanting it to change into something different, you have to stop letting what is be so dominant. You have to start letting what you would like to become be more dominant. You have to use your imagination a little more and your power of observation a little less. Or when you are using your power of observation, you have to use your power of selectively sifting what you are observing so that you are picking out the things that feel the best as you are giving your attention to them. Many of you are coming to understand clearly that you are the creator of your experience, and many of you are understanding exactly how that is so. You are understanding that you are offerers of vibration, like radio transmitters, receivers. And that as you offer a vibration, that universal forces, in particular the law of attraction, brings to you things that match your vibration. We notice so many of you having so many experiences where something that you've been pondering manifests. And you cannot help but notice. And we like it when you no longer call those freaky coincidences. And instead you say, power of attraction is evident in my life every single day. Things that you ponder show up. They show up in endless ways through cracks of least resistance, or as we like to say, through cracks or paths of most allowance. And so here it is in a very easy to understand view. Your life experience causes you to emanate desires or preferences, big and small, important and not so important to you. But you're steadily emanating those requests. And source energy is constantly answering those requests. So there's a steady stream of asking, answering, all the way from a cellular level and beyond, where we cannot find words to describe, all the way to your full conscious awareness of what you desire. So as you ask and source answers, your work is to get yourself somewhere in the vibrational proximity of what you're asking for. And that's an easy thing to understand how you are doing, because when you feel great, that means you are in vibrational alignment often with your own desires. But if you feel not so great, then that means in that moment at least, or if not so great as your usual mood or attitude, then that means that often you are not in the vibrational proximity of your own desires. And that is really worth talking about, because do you know that the only thing in heaven on earth, the only thing anywhere, any place or non-place, the only thing that could ever prevent you from fully realizing anything and everything that you desire is your own vibrational mismatch, your own misalignment. And by that we mean the vibrational alignment between what you want and what you offer vibrationally. So it's a wonderful thing that you are born with a guidance system that lets you know in every moment what that alignment is. When someone says to you, creating is really an inside job, what they accurately mean is, when you offer a vibration of desire and you notice that that desire is not manifested, in your noticing that it is not manifested, you are sending a contradictory signal. And in sending the contradictory signal, you are holding yourself for the time of that signal out of alignment. So no evidence can be shown to you. No motion forward can be witnessed by you. You cannot align in terms of manifestation with something that you have not aligned in terms of vibration. So when you say, I am the creator of my reality, we say, what you're really saying is, I feel my way into good feeling thoughts consistently, because the better I feel, the more I align with what I want. Your moods and attitudes, they come forth all the time. And it is a normal, natural thing as you are moving through your relationships and your physical experiences for you to notice things that give you a feeling that is less than fantastic. We want you to embrace all of your emotion and say, my guidance system serves me so well because in every moment I can tell, if I will stop and feel about it, what my vibrational mix is. I can tell what I'm doing right now in my powerful present. And we really want to emphasize powerful present, because right here and now is where your allowing or resisting is happening. In other words, you've been asking for a long time, and Source has been answering for a long time. And at perfect moments, under perfect conditions, all things will move forward for you. But if you are holding yourself in vibrational resistance to what you desire, it cannot happen now. So your powerful now is about letting as much happen that you want now. Think about it. You're in traffic. What would you like to let happen now? Well, you say, I might be wanting to let money flow now. And we say, of course. You always want to let money flow. You say, I might be wanting to let my relationship thrive. And we say, of course. You always want your relationship to thrive. And you say, and I might be wanting to find comfortable flow of traffic. And we say, of course, especially now, you want that. And then we say, how are you feeling right now? And you say, I'm worried about money. And we say, that worry about money certainly is not letting opportunities relative to money unfold, but it is also not allowing things relative to your relationship unfold, and it is certainly not allowing traffic to flow either. And you say, wait a minute, you mean I can be focused upon a whole completely different subject and I can be hindering another subject? And we say, anytime you are not feeling good, you are hindering the allowance of all things that you consider to be good. So you could take one subject, you could have 100 points of life. One of them could be really not where you want it to be, and therefore, as humans, that's the one you give most of your attention to, because after all, got to dig in and kill that bugger or whatever it is. So as you give an inordinate amount of attention to that one thing that is not going the way you want to, and for your day or week or month or year of doing so, you use it as your excuse to hold yourself in a place of discouragement or unhappiness, then you have let that one point be the primary reason for your vibrational offering, and you have held yourself vibrationally apart from many other things that could have been unfolding. So, if you want to turn that around into a more positive example, you could have 99 things going wrong, not as positive as we promised, but it has a happy outcome. And one thing going really well, like you've just fallen in love with someone who's loving you back. And as you are giving the majority of your attention to this one really good feeling subject, you're holding yourself in the point of allowing, and all other things begin turning around for you. Haven't you known people like that? Haven't you yourself had situations where one thing seemed to spiral into many things going wrong, or one thing seemed to spiral into many things going right? And we say, fortunately, and we mean this in the most loving and endearing way, you are a fickle lot. And by that we mean nothing really holds your attention all that long. But when you start thinking in terms of art of allowing, when you start thinking in terms of being in the receiving mode, when you start thinking in terms of getting yourself vibrationally to the place where you can allow what you are wanting to flow into your experience, then you become more aware of what it is that you are giving your attention to that is making you not feel so good, and you may use your willpower or your deliberate attention to something, your ability to focus, and you may focus upon things that feel better. And that really is what is the heart of our message relative to the art of allowing. The art of allowing literally means doing my best, practicing it until it becomes an art, of finding thought after thought that feels as good as I can possibly find right here and now. We are visiting with someone recently. It comes up from time to time, often with a counselor or a psychologist or psychiatrist who is working with someone who wants to feel better but does not. And we were describing the range of emotions that can go all the way from absolute depression, feeling of being lost or buried, all the way to ecstasy. In other words, it's a broad range of emotion and feeling. And we were saying that when a person is in a very strong negative emotion, like a feeling of depression or grief or abandonment, one of those very heavy, consuming, suffocating feelings, that the path of least resistance for them, which is the same thing as saying the path of most allowance, it is not logical for them to go from depression to joy. They can't make the jump. No one can. Any more than you can set your radio tuner on one station and receive what's being broadcast on another. So we said sometimes a very practical, logical, effective, deliberate reaching for an emotion might be anger. In other words, think about it. Doesn't anger feel better to you than grief or depression? It does, doesn't it? Certainly not the best choice in the world, but it's a better choice than grief or depression. And it's a closer match to where you are, and so it is a more likely choice. So the psychologist often will say, oh, well, you are just shifting your grief to anger. And anger is not a healthy vibration either. And we say, healthier than grief. Felt better. Almost anybody would agree with that. And so rather than say, oh, you need to make the jump all the way, why not applaud the fact personally that you feel a little better in your anger? In fact, we might even help you to create a list of others that you're angry at for a while, just so that you can maintain that angry improvement over that deep depression. Now, we want to put a disclaimer here. We do not want you to plan on staying in that angry place forever. But it is a bridge from your depression. And once you're angry, then reach for a bridge from the anger into something else. But sometimes what happens is, from your very strong negative emotion, as you're starting to make your way out of it, then someone observes your, what is to you, new improved state of being, but your new improved state of being is still on their list of things that people should never do. And then they counsel you or correct you that your anger is not productive. And we would say to you to say to them, tell them to mind their own business, because no one can know what improved path of least resistance you are upon.